Joining me now is Democratic Congressman George Latimer from New York, who is also a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman Latimer, thank you very much for being back on the show. We appreciate your time.
Laura, nice to be with you again.
Yeah, good to see you. All right, so this big news this week, President Trump is also insisting this indictment is about justice, not revenge. All right, so he's got that out there, but also hopes that there will be others next. You're taking a look at other Trump critics being targeted. We're going to put that up on the screen. And I wanted to ask you what significance this indictment would have on the judicial system of the country. We'll get to that full screen. There we go. We've got the possible Trump critics facing investigation. So pretty good list there. What do you think about the impact on our country?
Well, I think it's hilarious that President Trump says it's terrible to weaponize the DOJ. That's exactly what he's done. He has trumped up charges on Jim Comey, Letitia James. I've heard rumored Fannie Willis. He's angry with Adam Schiff. Why is he angry with these people? Because they tried to hold him accountable at various times in their careers. Adam Schiff at the time was in the House, and he led an impeachment inquiry on the conduct of President Trump. And Letitia James pursued a case where he and was convicted of sexual abuse of a woman. So these are things where Donald Trump doesn't want to be accountable, and he treats them as enemies, and he treats the United States Department of Justice as his personal law firm. He even has people who were his personal lawyers now in positions of authority in the DOJ to go after these people. He fired the U.S. attorney that said we have no case on Jim Comey. He got rid of him. He yelled at Pam Bondi and said, you're going to prosecute these people. So you're watching exactly what he's criticized. He said it very clearly. He said, I am going to be your revenge president. He said it at the Charlie Kirk Memorial when he said, I hate my enemies. It's clear who this guy is, and he's going after the people that he considers his enemies. This is not good for America, and this is unprecedented. You've never seen anything like this since the founding of the Republic.
We do want to mention that we do have other voices that are going to weigh in during our show from the other side of the aisle. But thank you very much for that perspective. And while I have you, I want to get you on a couple of other topics. So the Supreme Court is letting the Trump administration freeze more than $4 billion in foreign aid payments. And that is money that was approved by Congress last year, and it's set to expire next week. So we're keeping an eye on the calendar there. And as a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, I'm just wondering if you think, should this money for foreign aid be released?
Well, it was authorized, and we had the discussions and the agreement of the House and the Senate to move forward in these directions. This is what the congressional check and balance law means. I studied this years ago when I was a kid in high school, and it talked about why you don't want one person making all the decisions in the government. This is exactly what you have with Donald Trump. And freezing these resources is a way of saying, we don't care what the Congress of the United States says. By the way, the Congress is controlled by his party. The Republicans that run the House and run the Senate passed these things. This wasn't those of us in the Democratic minority that's driving the train. And I think it has to be understood that the power of America in foreign affairs is not only our military power, which is significant, but it's also our ability to negotiate, to use our resources and soft power to be able to accomplish things around the globe. Being tough, shooting your mouth off is not the only way that you influence people. In fact, in the long run, it's detrimental to the United States' position in the world.
You know, another thing we're looking at with the government facing this looming deadline to avert a shutdown by October 1st. Tell us, do you see Democrats working with Republicans to get it done? What are you hearing?
Well, Democrats are willing to work with Republicans. There was an effort made by Senator Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries to meet with the president. He originally said yes, and then he canceled the meeting. We've been called back as House Democrats to Washington to be present Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, prepared to be involved in any further actions that may be taken to amend the continuing resolution that the House passed. But the Republicans have operated these 9 months with control of the House, control of the Senate, President Trump calling the shots. They've operated without any effort at bipartisanship. This is what they want to accomplish. And that includes things like ending the Affordable Care Act tax credits at the end of the year. This is going to shoot people's premiums up through the roof in the new year. You take that, you take the tariffs and all these other economic things. This is exactly the opposite of what they campaigned on in 2024, which is making life more affordable. So what we're saying very simply is negotiate with us. Get to a bipartisan place that we can agree. And the response at this point is, no, we're not going to talk to you. And if the government shuts down, we don't care. We want exactly what we want, and that's all that we want, and damn the consequences.
You know, those consequences are exactly what the American people want to hear about because it directly affects them, right? And the possible impact of a government shutdown. On top of that, as many as 900,000 federal workers could be discharged. That is according to the Partnership for Public Service Nonpartisan Organization. So I'm just wondering what your message to everyday Americans who could be affected by the government's inability to approve a spending package would be. What would you say to people watching right now?
The message is very simple. Make sure that Democrats and Republicans sit at the table over the next few hours before the deadline and negotiate something that both parties can agree with. Democrats will have to make concessions, but the Republicans will have to make concessions. That is the American way. That type of compromise is what has governed our country throughout its history, other than the Civil War. And that's what needs to get us through this crisis now. Cooperation and bipartisanship, not one party imposing its vision on everybody else.
We appreciate your time, Democratic Congressman George Latimer. I appreciate you weighing in on all those topics. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.